Welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate Podcast with your hosts, Joshua Poniatowski and Alex Taylor. Let's talk football.
Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate Podcast. My name is Josh Poniatowski, and with me, Alex Taylor.
What up? Football's back.
Football is back. What a crazy roller coaster of week one. So many people are absolutely freaking out right now. Before we get into all the crazy week one matchups and things that happened and key takeaways, I want to share my story of week one. And this is a league that Alex is in with me. Last night, Monday night game, DJ Moore, had me, I think it was right around 9.5 points. And we're coming up to the fourth quarter. The Vikings just scored. I was winning by like 1 point, and I just felt it in my bones. This is 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I'm like, DJ Moore is going to fumble the ball in a crazy last play of the game and cause me to lose fantasy. So I sent this 4 minutes before the game even was over. Alex can back me up. Absolutely. And then what do you know? DJ Moore goes and fumbles the ball on a crazy end of play, and I ended up losing this week because of it. So I had already accepted my fate at that point. And the crazy part, Alex brought this up too, about the stat line of how him fumbling and not getting a reception, right?
Yeah, because it's a full PPR league. So had he been the first guy, and gotten the catch,
right, to receive
then
it,
you would have not lost. But because he was the second guy, I think Rome caught it and then lateraled it to him. He did get a little bit of yards. He did make a nice 8-yard scamper, I think, before he then fumbled it. But it was pretty incredible that you said that, and it actually just is exactly what happened.
And then I thought I'd lost, and I think it was a couple hours later, stat corrections came in. They had to figure it out, and I ended up winning by 0.2 points. I was like, all right. So it was a real roller coaster.
And they're always the bookmakers don't know how to calculate everything.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, because just like you said, who gets the reception? Does he get the yards that he made or not? And then the fumble. So apparently that is what exactly happened. He ended up getting the yards for the distance he traveled, and then the fumble happened. So it was really a negative 0.7 versus negative 2. But just a crazy.
So how does that work? Do they? Because you fumble, it goes. First guy gets maybe 10 yards or whatever, and then laterals it back. Do they recount those yards that he gets the lateral negative 2 yards and then plus, or is it only
to what he makes?
Is it only the yards on top of? I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm just curious.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like an infinite yards hack, right? You have somebody run up and then pitch it back and then just do it over and over again.
Yeah, they're hidden yards.
Yeah. So I don't know about that difference there, but they definitely, I saw a sleeper screenshot because they had to go in and correct it, I guess, with the calculations after they re-looked at it. And it was Rome had this many yards and DJ Moore had this many yards, subtract the fumble and the reception. So they had to make some adjustments there. But
that'd be hard for them to get on the fly,
For sure, right? I mean, right. It's a fumble, negative 2 points. They went in, they did their thing. And it's just such a crazy week one ending to a lot of people's games. And I saw ESPN and Yahoo and other platforms, people had DJ Moore and ended up losing by 1 because of the whole situation. Yeah. So it's a tough way to lose your week one matchup for a lot of people. But with all of that being said, I want to share one rule with you before we go into our game for the week. One rule that I want to tell everybody, and I want to make sure that you're listening, okay? Number one rule of week one is to not freak out, right? Number 2, stay calm. And number 3 is always week one mayhem. So, Alex, we're going to get into it.
Nope, everyone's on the block. Everyone's on the trade block. I'm pissed at everybody. I'm freaking out right now. Javonte Williams is him, I guess.
Yeah, it was so funny. You in our group chat for our Dynasty League, I think you were underperforming your whole team as a whole. You're losing, I think, to me by 80 at one point. And you were like, all right, fire sale. Everybody's got to go. I'll take picks, whatever you want, whatever you need. No, you're doing a tongue-in-cheek.
And then Josh Allen went off. And then
Josh Allen just had a monster game.
Everything's right in the world again.
And then you beat me by 15 points or something like that. I was like, what the hell is happening right now?
It's a wild week.
Don't freak out.
Wild week.
Don't freak out. But I'm going to have you, Alex. So I'm going to give you some key takeaways from week 1. I need you to tell me if people should freak out or you think that they should stay calm. Okay. Key takeaway number 1 is Zach Charbonnet played more snaps, played in more unique situations, saw the major red zone carries, had more rushing opportunities, and finished with more yards and touchdowns. Freak out or stay calm?
Freak out about Kenneth Walker? I mean, not really. I mean, I would say maybe his ceiling is a little bit limited, but I mean, it seemed like he was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage like almost every time he got the ball. I think there will be greener pastures ahead. I can see him as maybe being like a nice buy low candidate. If the guy's freaking out, like I'm not like obsessed with buying low on Kenneth Walker, but like if their owner is kind of like freaking out, I'd be interested. But I think it does seem like it'd be more of a split backfield situation. But
okay, all right. So don't freak out just yet. Number 2. Daniel Jones is Sam Darnold of 2025, and the Colts are an offensive powerhouse.
I mean, powerhouse is a little dramatic, but I think Tyler Warren's proven he's probably a locked-in must-start tight end now already. And then Pittman's also probably, I would say, must-start. I mean, obviously, you're always starting JT. But, I mean, I think the offense is definitely better than we assumed.
A lot better, for sure.
A lot better.
It's amazing what a top 5 offensive line can do for a quarterback.
Yeah. Why didn't the Giants do that before?
I know, like just get offensive linemen and you have a stud quarterback. Yeah. Number 3, Justin Fields must be rostered and started in all leagues.
I mean, probably. I did have him as my QB 10 in our preseason rankings. I mean, the rushing is just insane, you know. So yeah, crazy. I mean, Ju got to start him. I mean, I don't think he's gonna have that good of game every week, but. Yeah, he's like he's right in that QB 10 range.
Gotcha. Juicy buy option for this week. Good. All right, number 4, Miami is 100% cooked, and it's just time to accept it.
I mean, like Tua, just does not look good. Yeah, I don't know. I am kind of worried about them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, those are some of the key takeaways. Now, before we jump into the games, I want you all to know that we're trying something a little bit different for this episode. Instead of like talking about waiver wire, buy low, sell high, we tried to focus on games and we tried to focus on the key takeaway for games. And me and Alex spent over 20, 30 hours either watching football in some capacity or looking up the analytics in each of the games. So we spent a lot of time on this is what I want to let y'all know.
I was going to say, speaking of spending time watching football, how lovely was the Friday night game? It was you got football Thursday, Friday, off Saturday, and then back on it for Sunday, Monday. 4 to 5 days. It was a nice stretch, nice start to the season. I enjoyed that a lot.
I'm sure the wives and the girlfriends of many people were probably like, "What do you mean it's a Friday night game?" But absolutely, it was nice they started the season with like a bunch of banger games and also like, all right, and you get a Friday game to start your week. So I think that was actually planned. So great job. Kudos to the NFL for, doing something right there. All right, so we're going to go through the games. We're going to identify key takeaways from these games that you should be aware of, and then we're just going to mention waiver wire targets after we do that. So the first game of the week was the Thursday night game, Cowboys and Eagles. The overall for this game was 44 points that was scored and ended, but essentially they scored all these points before the rain delay, and the rain delay was about 25 minutes. So I would say just when you look at this game, for those of you that are looking at stats and maybe didn't watch it, the rain delay impacted fantasy players' performances. So, just something to be wary of. The Cowboys, the average time to throw for a QB in 2024 was around 2.69 seconds. Hurts' average time to throw was 3.6 seconds in this game. So the Cowboys had 0 pass rush. Micah Parsons move seemed to have drastically impacted the D-line, but that's an insane amount of time for a quarterback, which means it's going to be great for Cowboys players, right?
Yeah, which is that's pretty much what we thought going into the season anyways. Nobody really had that high hopes for the Cowboys defense. There's also a mix of, the Eagles just having a well-polished offense. Yeah, I think there will be better games ahead. Dak and CeeDee kind of fizzled. They had so many, almost plays, almost points. They could have exploded. CeeDee was still decent, but CeeDee could have been easily wide receiver 1 on the week. Better. But I think there will be better games for them ahead.
And, talking about the CeeDee and Pickens connection, it seemed like, right, Pickens played kind of mostly to prop up CeeDee and other players and like open up schemes. And, I don't know if y'all saw the reports, but he ran like lackadaisical on some running routes and plays and some even routes that he should have been involved with. He really wasn't. So he didn't look good in week 1. That's
the
your
clips.
boy.
It was on a lot of like running plays. Like I'm gonna kind of rule it out.
Yeah.
He still did have he ran a route on 70% of 90% of dropbacks. Sorry. I think it's gonna take a little while for him and Dak to get a little more comfortable. Obviously, first game, jitters going on. Dak's gonna go to CeeDee. Like that's his boy. That's who he knows and loves.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take a little bit of time to get Pickens working, but I'm still high.
I agree. Like I don't think this is something that you freak out on just yet, right? He's going to be involved, and we know a high power offense. The next kind of key takeaway from the Cowboys was Javonte Williams saw 77% of the running back snaps, which is significant. He is the main running back one for right now anyway. And if the Dallas defense is bad and they have a good offense, he's going to find value regardless of if he's good or not, just by being on the field.
Jalen Blue inactive, and then Miles Sanders with a huge fumble that cost them the game.
Did you see that? That was crazy.
Dude, I felt so bad. So now Javonte's just got so much like job security going on. So yeah, he's looking pretty locked in as like a low end RB2 right now.
And when I saw that fumble, I was like, Javonte. That's the first thing I thought was Javonte stock is now rising even more than before. So if you didn't watch the game, like you should be a little bit more in on Javonte because of that fumble. All right, moving over to the Eagles. Not too many major takeaways from this outside of AJ Brown and Devonta Smith were practically non-existent. I'm honestly not worried about this just yet. AJ Brown's still a top guy for me. Devonta Smith, wide receiver 30 territory as you drafted him. So I'm not reading too much into this. How are you feeling about it?
I feel like I'm getting a little worried only because I'm not like hating on them, skill based or anything. It's just like, this is just not a pass first offense. It is a run first through Hurts and Saquon. And then their defense is so good that they're just always going to be in like positive running game script. I just don't see them being behind very often. I think I am a little worried about their pass catchers.
Are you worried, about both, or is like just
probably? I have zero AJ Brown stock. I have Devonta still on team, and I'm okay. He's staying in there, but if somebody came to me asking for him, I'd listen.
You'd probably be willing to make a deal. All right, and as far as waiver wire ads go for this game, the only major one we really had was Tank Bigsby. For those of you that did not hear, yes, Tank Bigsby was traded. Who did he get traded to again, Alex?
The Eagles. I was saying from Jacksonville to the Eagles. Yeah.
From the Jags to the Eagles. Yeah. So just, potential handcuff, that Will Shipley seemed to get most of those pass catches, but, there's a reason why they're doing this. So they must have felt like they needed that depth.
Shipley got a little banged up, but they said they were thinking
ribs.
about that.
You're right.
Yeah. But they said that's not like important. Injury. That's not part of it. They wanted Bigsby anyways, but who knows?
Yeah. And I feel like, usually they underpay. I feel like they may be overpaid for a running back. They value what they value. I think it was a 5th and a 6th. All right. So the next game was the Chiefs versus the Chargers. This was in Sao Paulo, Brazil on Friday. The Chargers appear to be the real deal. Alex, he called this man Justin Herbert. He pulled off. It felt like a Freaky Friday, Lindsay Lohan type of switch bodies vibe with me. Like I was watching the game, like did Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert switch bodies the way that he was scrambling and like being gritty and going for extra yards and just like doing not normal Justin Herbert things. So
Mahomes is still scrambling too. Mahomes is still Mahomes also.
That's true. He did have like that layout pass as well. Yeah, but Herbert looked like Mahomes. I'm just saying.
Great.
Like, it looked, he was way more involved. One of the things, Herbert was a bench candidate for me last week, and I missed it. I'm going to take that, kind of fall on that. One thing I missed is he was the 3rd best QB last year when facing 2 high coverages, and the Chiefs are the highest rate in the NFL at playing 2 high coverages. So we'll keep an eye on this coverage schemes moving forward when we do start sit advice. But, that's something I noticed. So how you feeling about your boy Herbert?
I thought that was a good statement game from him. It's been years and he's always been on this cusp of kind of looking elite, but then not really quite giving you what you want. So I'm excited to see how he does this year. I think he could really blow up.
He's got the weapons right now to support him in the receiving game. So that's a plus. Omarion Hampton was on the field for 80% of the running back snaps. He was the clear running back 1 in a hard-fought game, right? Like this was a a tough game for them. So they trusted him to be on the field. So I think if you drafted him at his ADP this year, you should be feeling pretty good about it, I would say, especially being a rookie.
I think Najee gets eased in a little bit more. I mean, obviously he had the weird eye injury and stuff like that. Like, I think he, takes a little bit more of a snap, but definitely if you're a Hampton owner, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Sure. Pacheco. So talking about the Chiefs side, Pacheco and Hunt were much more closer in split carries than honestly I expected in week 1. For me, this was a little worrisome. So, I thought Pacheco was a clear guy.
It was pretty much like an even split. Like, you saw them both a bunch. The worst part is neither of them really even did anything with those opportunities. They both looked pretty bad. Plus, you got the Eagles now this week with they just announced Jalen Carter won't be suspended or anything for the Spitgate situation. So I think it's going to be another rough week for both of them, and then just a really rough start to the season for Chiefs running backs.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to add one more thing about Hollywood Brown. So I was kind of doing some research on my start-sit advice for the upcoming week, and I came across this, I want to say last night. We saw that he had 10 plus targets and opportunities.
16, yeah.
Yeah, which is insane. So, but what I think the bigger factor was that he was on the field as the predominant receiver for over every other receiver in offensive snaps and tight end, including Kelce. And he ran Kelce is not cooked, and he ran 25 routes out of the slot, which was number 1 by almost every other pass catcher that was a receiver. The only exception was Kelce, who ran 24. So Kelce is not cooked. He's an opportunity man, and he will continue to get those opportunities. But I just wanted to share that about Hollywood Brown being slot into essentially the Rashee Rice role. So when you're thinking about waivers, like he's top of my list.
Yeah, I think he's probably a must add. I mean, I'm not like huge on him long term, but I think for the next foreseeable 3 to 4 weeks, probably.
Oh yeah, for sure. Rice until Rice gets back.
You got a pretty much locked in guy. So this was actually one of the juiciest games for like waiver wire targets. I mean, him, JuJu had a decent game. Plus now that with those guys both missing time, and then also the Chargers pass catcher, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen. It was just like a lot of surprise action that game.
Yeah, so I mean, if you need a wide receiver, there are absolutely multiple floating out there that you could maybe pick up and find. And we were talking about when we were doing the discussion about running back and wide receivers, and like, hey, you can find handcuff running backs left and right. Man, look at these wide receivers making a name for themselves, being fantasy relevant. So
I'm not super obsessed with Quentin Johnson, but it's like, okay, you got a first round receiver. And historically, back in the day, year 3 was when receivers used to break out. We just got
a little bit more time.
Used to like rookie receivers coming in just like exploding on the scene. So like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not like freaking out about him, but I could see it. I could see him being the real deal.
I think the usage on how they use him is going to be important. Like as I was watching that game, they were giving him like shorter passes that he could easily catch, and then he created space, right? Like he's good at open field, making moves versus, hey, maybe I need to catch a 20-yard pass, but I'm going to drop it because I got rock hands, right? Like figure out a way to use your guys' talents, and I think, Harbor is doing that for him. So yeah, definitely upside there. Next game is going to be Raiders versus Patriots. So on the Raider side, talking about Ashton Jeanty, he had a very quiet fantasy game, but he played 86% of the running back snaps, which is just nonsensical. This is what we want to see out of our rookies. We want to see volume, we want to see opportunity, and we want to see that he's on the field. I still think he's capped because he's on the Raiders offense. But we saw what we wanted to out of that rookie running back from opportunities.
His efficiency sucked, but he found pay dirt in his first NFL game. You count that as a win. I'm happy with it.
I agree. And honestly, I'm higher on Jeanty now than I was during the draft. So, again, talking about not freaking out week 1, not getting crazy, but he's somebody that if a owner is feeling it, they're like, oh my God, for 12 points or whatever he scored, go out and try to get him for a discount maybe, if you can. The next one is about your boy Brock Bowers. Since week 1 of 2024, this is a good data point for you, Alex. Mm-hmm. Since week 1 of 2024, Bowers hadn't played below 60% of the Raiders snaps. By midseason, he was consistently playing 90% of the snaps. Week 1, 50% in the new offense and with a new head coach. 50%. of offensive snaps.
And with 103 receiving yards and a tight end tied for tight end one finish, I'm okay with 50% if that's the result I'm getting.
Are the Raiders going to be that good, though? All right. Just what we expected. When I say we, I mean me. What I expected did happen, but he is just so darn good that he is tight end one. Yes. And he was injured. I'm sure everybody knows who's a Bowers owner, but he's injured. I don't have any direct updates on that right now, but it's something you need to be.
It hasn't sounded bad. They haven't given anything concrete yet.
Yeah, so just something to eye. Next up is going to be Jakobi Meyers. He's again still at wide receivers. This is a guy you were talking about too, Alex. He's on an offense that's going to have to pass a lot. It's as simple as that. He is the Jerry Jeudy of the Raiders, but actually being the main target guy outside Bowers.
He's just steady Eddie out there. I mean, a wide receiver 17 finish for him this week. Nothing sexy, gets it done. That's it. That's all you want. That's all you need. Considering where his draft value was, you're happy with that.
Moving into the Patriots, Rhamondre Stevenson dominated really all the opportunities, even though it was somewhat of a split backfield, but he had more goal line, red zone, third down, 2-minute drill, and short yardage opportunities over Hendrson. Hendrson saw plenty of opportunities, and again, for a rookie, this was beautiful to see. I truly expect his usage to flip midseason. So instead of Rhamondre getting all these dominant early down, third down, eventually I think Henderson's going to take over the role. And if you can wait it out as a Hendrson owner, I just feel like he's going to be an elite option later in the season as we progress. So just hold on to that, man.
Yeah, I mean, still loving opportunities. And again, his first NFL game, I'm okay with it. I mean, ADP wise, he was being drafted not nearly as high as obviously Jeanty or Hampton. You were kind of drafting him as that flex play anyways, with the hope of him kind of progressing. So I'm okay with his first game.
Kayshon, hey, so how you say that, by the way? Kayshon Boutte. Good old Boutte. He played the role that we thought Diggs would, and that's a little scary. So when I went back and looked at the analytics after watching the game, Stefon Diggs was rotated in as a wide receiver. He wasn't even Diggs wasn't even one of the top 2 wide receivers in 2 wide receiver sets. It is worrisome. A guy like Mac Hollins saw more 2 wide receiver sets and was taking opportunities from Diggs, which is crazy to me. This is a little worrisome, even though it's week 1. It needs to be monitored, and Boutte is main waiver wire wide receiver target if he still sees that usage. If he does.
Well, here's the thing. So, I mean, 103 yards was impressive. I mean, but Drake May also was tied for most pass attempts with 46. So he actually only had a 17% target share. So, I'm not saying don't use a waiver spot. I'm just not I'm not full send on him. I'm if you can get him cheap, if it's fab situation, or you're really looking for some wide receiver help. I get it. I'm just not full send yet.
How are you feeling about the Diggs situation? Do you think it is panic time based off of what we saw in week 1?
I'm probably not auto starting him by any means.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's on my bench indefinitely, unfortunately, because he's the guy that I liked late to hopefully find value. But okay, next up is Hunter Henry. This man was way more involved in the offensive side of the ball than we expected. Right now, he looks like the second receiving option. Maybe there's value to be had, something to monitor, but it was just interesting that he came out as that kind of second tier guy in that offense, which is what we look for tight end sleepers, right? His opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, eight targets, if you're dealing with a Kittle injury or something like that, not a bad play.
Yeah. And so, talking about the waiver wire guys from this game, Kayshon Boutte, Geno Smith could also be a quarterback based on what you're looking at. Jakobi Meyers is probably unlikely on waivers, but I just wanted to throw him in there because you never know.
80% owned.
Yeah. And then Hunter Henry again is a potential tight end streamer. But listen to the start sit episode because I'm gonna go into a deep dive and talk about some of those things.
I'm ready for it.
All right, next up is Steelers versus Jets. Talking about the Steelers, did we just watch the 2 best teams in football face off in week 1? Did we just watch that? Were they the greatest 2 teams?
Game, but also apparently there's no defense involved, so maybe they're not the best teams in the NFL, but their offenses were, I don't know, better than anybody thought either of them could be. That was probably the most surprising game of the week for sure.
Vegas had their line as the lowest scoring game of the week.
Of course.
Lowest. of anybody. It was
They
crazy.
both be good defenses and bad offenses. Instead, it was the complete opposite.
It was opposite. It was like, no, we're just gonna score a bunch of points. Looking at the player data and like what was important from this game, there was a clear running back by committee for the Steelers on display. It was, right around 50-50 for Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. It wasn't even Caleb Johnson. DK Metcalf was involved in every wide receiver set and played, except for maybe 2 when he needed a break. But he was very involved, so he should be the main benefactor if Aaron Rodgers does find some second, wind in that situation.
That Gainwell usage was just very surprising, kind of caught me off guard. Yeah. And it just murkies up an already suspect backfield for me. I'm just probably avoiding any Steelers running backs for this foreseeable future. I mean, yeah, Caleb Johnson, 1 yard, negative 2 yards. Your 1 carry, negative 2 yards. It was welcome to the NFL.
Is not good. And I mean, even though rookie running backs do eventually gear up, one attempt, Kenneth Gainwell taking snaps from you, we want to see the Hendrson usage and even, RJ when we get to it, where they're at least involved in some type of game plan. But that just was not the case. So it's very, very worrisome there. Arthur Smith continues to just be a tight end shenanigan man. He was rotating the tight end position, but it's his dream. All offseason, he was like, oh my God, I'm getting JuJu. I got Pat over here. I'm just going to pull them all in and I'm going to call a run play. So, he's just in heaven right now. But it was a rotation.
He's just a fantasy terrorist, and that man just loves some JuJu Smith, though. I mean, good for them. They must have a great relationship. I don't know, I don't know what's going on, but
they got to hang out on weekends for sure. Moving into the Jets, even if you have a quarterback, Justin Fields needs to be rostered. There's no way to put it.
Yeah.
He showed why he's such a juicy option, just the rushing upside. So if you need a guy or you just want an extra quarterback, you need to go out and put a waiver bid in for him for sure.
I mean, he had 16.8 points just on the ground. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. Granted, that's going to be his. He's going to have more points on the ground than he does passing through probably every game of the year. But that's the upside that he brings, right? Breece Hall is just better than every other running back on the team. I just don't know how else to put it. But he did play 58% of the offensive snaps, which is not great. So while he can still be considered in running back fantasy starting territory, it's much harder with the current backfield situation and with him being on the Jets. I don't know if we can expect a 30-plus point performance every single week out of the Jets. So, this is, yeah.
For me, he is honestly probably my most confusing player right now. Just kind of get my head around it because he looked so good, just electric. PFF had him number 1 ranked running back in week 1, and it wasn't just one big run. I mean, he had 4 rushes over 12 yards plus a big 33-yard catch. It was just chunk play after chunk play, but Braylon Allen was in there for goal line work. Braylon Allen also saw 31% snap share. And then Justin Fields ran in for 2 scores. I can just see both scenarios playing out in my head. It's path 1, he gets more snaps, more goal line work, and he finishes the season as a top 5 running back because he has that talent if he just gets that opportunity. And path 2 is, okay, if he keeps the same role, the same percentages, he's probably not going to be that efficient, popping off insane runs every week. And then he ends up as an RB 20. So it's I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah, the usage is the biggest worrisome. If he can find a larger timeshare, which we don't know if that'll happen, maybe, but you're completely right. It could be a boom or bust based on what happens in these coming weeks. Moved into Garrett Wilson. He is the only receiver to own at the Jets at the moment. I'm a little bit worried, with Justin still being there. If he decides to even look in a different direction for one game, then Wilson is going to be cooked, but he's going to be a guy of volume pretty much that you're going to hope for.
Yeah, I mean, Fields, he's a one look and run kind of guy. I mean, he did actually have some surprisingly nice throws. Got to admit that he had some nice throws week 1. So yeah, if he keeps that up, there looks like great value, but could also be someone who maybe trade him away. I mean, just had a wide receiver 6 finish. I could see him, start trying to sell high on him right now. So
getting some sell high. Okay, that's juicy. Yeah, I could see that too. I don't know if people will fall for the old Garrett Wilson offensive wide receiver powerhouse Justin Fields thing, but you never know. Maybe there's somebody out there. All right.
Dude, so the rough wide receiver performances this week. So some people could be pretty desperate for some wide receiver help.
I already sent for Jamar. So I'm getting that, man. It's a fair trade, right? Wide receiver 6 finish, Garrett Wilson for wide receiver 100 finish, Ja'Marr Chase. Like, that's a fair deal. All right, but the waiver wire targets for that game are Calvin Austin, who actually saw a wide receiver 2 role in the Steelers offense, so it could be. And then Justin Fields, obviously quarterback as an ad. You could probably throw Aaron Rodgers in there. I just think he's going to be more of a pass-focused guy, so it's just very risky. I don't think he's gonna be throwing 3 to 4 touchdowns a game. All right, the next up is the Bucks versus the Falcons. Mbuka is the real deal. Bucky dominated running back snaps, with really the only exception being on third down, where Rashad White took 80% of those opportunities, but overall his usage was way up. Bucky's.
Hey, Bucks are undefeated. Can't be denied. The line, just didn't really give Bucky much room to work. It was a little rough. They didn't really scheme him out in space as I was kind of maybe hoping he would. He was kind of going up the gut with him a lot. But, I'm happy we got the win. It was a very stressful game. And holy heck, is Emeka legit already.
So good.
Love that guy. Oh, I didn't want to tell you. A lot of people know about this. There was a kind of an issue or a surprise. The Bucks came out with just completely new starting offensive line, and it was like on TV. We were looking. I was trying to find it. Nobody knew about it on Twitter or Reddit or anything. It was like, what's going on? And I'll tell you what was kind of weird about it. So one, we took Barton, who was our first round second year center. We moved him because we have Tristan Wirfs is hurt. Everyone knows our injured for left tackle. Yeah. So we moved our center to left tackle, which is like, all right, that's whatever. He did play left tackle in college. Like, okay, makes random, but made sense.
Yeah.
The crazy thing was we got this other guy, Michael Jordan, not that Michael Jordan, different Michael Jordan. So here's the timeline of events. We have our third preseason game. Michael Jordan gets cut, clears waivers. We sign him back on the practice squad. Then we elevate him to the active roster. Then we make him our starting left guard. All this just happened in like 2 weeks. It was like everyone had no idea what was happening. Baker, they asked him the post game. He's like, dude, I don't know. They asked him post game. Baker's like, yeah, you guys didn't know about that, did you? Like, it was the most random thing because like, they cut him, so like, other teams could have signed him.
I was going to say, couldn't somebody else sign him? Yeah. Did they do that to save money? Like, I don't understand what the benefit is of that.
Bowles just said it was like they just came up with the idea basically to switch Barton out to tackle, and then needed someone to switch the guard into center. It was just a whole thing. It was like literally in the last second.
So and they cut him. They thought they didn't need him, and then they came up with the plan, and we're like, crap, we need this guy back. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. All right, that makes sense. Interesting.
I'm excited. It's week 1. I'm all hyped up. I look at the TV. I'm like, Barton's playing left tackle. I'm like, what? Michael Jordan's starting? I was like, what is happening? And nobody knew about it. Couldn't find any information online. I was like, it was the most random thing. But yeah,
so
the O-line story for you.
The big takeaway from that is the Bucks O-line is still figuring out. So buy Bucky low, essentially.
Yeah,
that's what that means.
Maybe. Well, we only got to buy time for Wirfs to get back. I think it's they're hoping October. But yeah. They had the win. If we lost, it maybe would have looked a little bad because our offense started pretty sloppy too. So it was one of those. It worked out, but it could have very easily not worked out.
All right, and talking about the Falcons side, so this is very important. So if you're a Bijan owner, or even just look at the stats of games, you will need to look a little bit deeper. So on the surface, Tyler Algier, right? There was all this talk about running back A1 and running back B1 and them just being this dynamic duo, just like we saw with Gibbs and Monty. And I've actually seen people post online about this and say, oh yeah, there's a split backfield with Algier and Bijan. But if you are a casual, you would see that. But if you are like me and Alex, we don't get nothing by us. Bijan saw 80% of the running back offensive snaps. He was in the 80 to 90% of early down work, third down work, 2-minute drill, all the important snaps that you want. But if you just look at the scorecard, you say Algier has 10 opportunities on the ground and Bijan had 12 or whatever the number was. Split backfield. Absolutely not. So if you have a Bijan owner, go out and try to get one over on him. Try to get a little bit of value because he thinks it's split.
I mean, he still finishes RB2 on the week. Yeah, Bijan had a great game. He made our defense look silly on that swing pass for a touchdown. It was kind of embarrassing. It was just like classic Bucs defense where, I mean, we held them at 2 yards per carry, 12 carries for 24. But then we also gave up 100 and I think just over 100 in receiving games. So it's like, technically, we're always like, oh, we had a great run defense. And we're like, well, we also just give up no pass yards. So,
like dump offs and screens, because half of them were that. And, leaning into that, talking about the man who was throwing him the ball, Michael Penix, I'm not sold on him yet. Bijan had over 100 yards after the catch in this game. He was the product of dump offs and efficiency short yardage plays. 67% of Penix's passes were under 9 yards or shorter. And 22 of his 27 completions were under 9 yards. So he had 0 pass completions over 20 yards. Do not victory lap yet, Alex. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
What about the very surprising 6 rushing attempts for 21 yards and a touchdown? I mean, that was just like just not something anyone ever knew about Michael Penix that he even liked to do. So that was caught me off guard.
That was true. That was sneaky. I agree. Waiver wire targets for this game. Ray McLeod seems maybe like a clear waiver target. London, Mooney out. Casey Washington ended up actually running more routes than every other player. I don't know, maybe sneaky ad there. Yeah. So deeper leagues, Kyle Pitts Jr. was way more involved in the offense in routes run. And with these 2 wide receivers out, viable streaming tight end. Pitts was actually a starter last week for me as a viable streaming tight end.
Of course, well, you love that man.
Nailed it.
You love that man. I mean, yeah, you had 8 targets, 7 catches.
I don't love him.
Yeah,
but
you do. You talk
I did
about
call
him
it
a
last
lot.
week.
You say you don't love him, but you talk about him a lot.
I like the opportunity that I see, and I call a shot when I call a shot. Once these 2 wide receivers get back, they'll drop him like a second.
This might finally be his year,
Nope, I'm not saying that. He'll be good until his healthy wide receivers get back, and then he's back off the list. All right, next up, we have the Dolphins versus Colts. From the Miami side of the ball, we talked about this earlier, but the Dolphins were just imploding before our very eyes. I don't like to start rumors or go off vibes, but all offseason, Mike McDaniels just felt down. He just felt like he was and just not wanted to even be in the press conference. And Tyreek was yelling at halftime. Dolphins couldn't get anything going. I am not completely done with him, but it looked really bad. It would look terrible from an optics point of view. So it is worrisome.
I mean, I agree. I do not have high hopes for them. I think it's clear they're not going to be like a top 10 offense by any means. Probably maybe not even top 20. I would just say maybe poke around to see if some Miami owners, if they are in like full fire sale mode, I can maybe buy low on some of them. I'm not hyped for it, but I would, I'd poke around and see what they got going on.
And rumor mill is Tyreek Hill maybe be going back to the Chiefs because they're wide receiver core. Moving into the Colts, Michael Pittman Jr. and Tyler Warren, they appear to be wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 on this offense. He played 78% of the offensive snaps, which is great, especially considering his high target share. Tyler Warren looks like the tight end 1 and the potential alpha that we said, hey, he might be able to be.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling on Warren?
I think Pittman and Warren are both probably auto must starts for now, going into next week, see how it goes, see if they can renew it again. But I mean, Warren was great, Pittman was great.
And then DJ Giddens, to me, I think he immediately gets shot into an elite running back handcuff. When, he got the usage, he got all of the usage, just like JT. So I just, think elite handcuff situation, he's in that territory.
Yeah, I mean, the coach already came out and said JT should be good to go next week. Said probably could have gone back in for whatever. But that was surprising. Kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, who's getting all these carries? What's going on?
Yeah.
But that was not a guy like really on my radar.
And Daniel Jones, do you think he is a waiver ad this week for quarterback, or do you think there might be better options out there for him?
Well, I put in for him in my Superflex league as like my third bench QB. I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, I got like Love and Herbert already, but I mean, in a 1 QB league, maybe not.
Maybe. Okay, so not a no. Daniel Jones, fantasy relevant,
because he's always had some decent like
Alex
rushing
endorsement
upside too. Yeah,
he does. For
he
sure.
just has sneaky good rushing upside. So. Hey, who knows? And now he's got the best O-line of his career. It's a new man.
Fact. All right, moving into the Cardinals versus Saints game. As far as the Saints go, this team is going to be forced to pass the ball and forced to pass the ball a lot. They should continue to lose games They should have a negative game script. They should be playing from behind. So this means all their pass catchers should feast just in opportunities. The thing is, we saw 3 different players with over 9 targets. So what we can't predict is how consistent will these targets be, right? To who? Like, who's going to get them? If Olave can't go, they were giving him some hospital balls. He actually had to leave the game at one point.
That's that whole man's
career. Week 1.
It's that poor guy. He's constantly dying on the field. I think the craziest part was that Kamara only saw 2 targets. I expect that to change drastically going forward. So that's like, this is Kamara we're talking about. But that was very surprising.
Well, we talked about this, that Kellen Moore's running back pass catching efficiency has dropped every single location that he has gone and played offense or, coordinated the offense. So expected, not two targets expected, but definitely. So we got to expect more moving forward for sure. This is the craziest one. And if you need tight ends, it is going to sound terrible coming out of my mouth, but Juwan Johnson, he is a sneaky ad. He saw a 98.7% snap rate, which is the best of all tight ends. He was an every down option for literally the Saints. And Foster Monroe, Taysom Hill are both on PUP with not really certain when their return. So if he continues to see this role, and we know they're going to have to be passing the ball a lot based on what happens with Olave, maybe you can squeeze some value out of this man in a PPR league.
I mean, his 11 targets led most among the tight end position, 76 yards, third most. Again, it's the Rattler effect. You're maybe never going to be able to trust him, but you're not going to be surprised if he has a decent game every now and then. Just on opportunity alone.
And I'm banking on Rattler not being the starter by week 6. I'm going to say week 6. As far as the Cardinals go, because they were playing the Saints, it's really a hard game to gauge. But I did notice a couple of things. So first, McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., they're 1-2. These guys are just going to be the main guys in this offense getting opportunities. This is what we expected, but it's great to see. The Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. connection was just beautiful. I love to see it. That's all we needed was better chemistry between these two. So, love to see
and
it.
They just, because they're against Cincinnati, they really just didn't even need to do that much. They kind of had the lead and were kind of relatively just kind of trying to burn the clock down. I mean, Kyler only had 29 attempts. It puts him at tied for 20th in the NFL on week 1. So, I think there could be even, better weeks for them ahead.
Next up is the James Conner discussion. So a lot of people saw Trey Benson this week. They watched the game. They looked at the data, the stats. However, they didn't look deep enough again. So James Conner lost bunch of casuals. I'm telling you. James Conner lost zero opportunities compared to last year. So if you think that Trey Benson is coming in here to take his opportunities, it ain't happening. He lost 0 opportunities. What did happen, though, is that Trey Benson ended up taking over the third down role from Amari Dimincardo. Man, I'm good for saying that right. But he took over that third down role, which led to him seeing an increase in usage, which appeared as though he was eating into Connor's timeshare or opportunities, but it was not. So that's all I'm saying. Do not freak out about Connor. If somebody is, go out and buy it.
He still had 16 opportunities. He finishes RB20 on the week. I mean, that's kind of like his floor. He's always kind of in that RB20 to 10 kind of range. So you're fine with James Conner.
And the waiver wire targets for me are Juwan Johnson, potential, maybe a couple weeks based on, how the next couple weeks go. And then Trey Benson, I do think he is an elite, valuable handcuff just because we saw him play the third down roles and, didn't take much from Connor, but had some early opportunities. So you're looking at a bell cow, mix, switch, and swapping if Connor goes down. All right, moving into the Giants versus Commanders game. The Giants are going to continue to be the Giants. Like, I'm not really certain if that's news or not, but yeah, they're just going to be who they are.
Poor souls.
Not sorry, Kyle, if you're listening, but I know you're not, but not sorry. Tyrone Tracy, which is important. Tyrone Tracy did lead the backfield. It's his to lose. He secured, third down. He had, early opportunities. He just dominated almost every aspect of the opportunities in the running back game. So it's his to lose, in my opinion.
I mean, Neighbors did see 12 targets, which is promising. Didn't really get a ton with them, but it's the Giants. You kind of got to curb expectation there.
Giants, and we know Jameis Winston is hanging out and Dart is hanging out, so we're gonna see a healthy rotation of these quarterbacks, and in the next couple of weeks. All right, moving over to the Commanders. Bill Krosky Merritt has honestly carved himself out a nice role in the offense, and this is a high-powered offense too. He was their main early down back. Eckler was their third down role, but essentially Bill might be the guy to own in Washington this year. So if you got him, hold on to him. Yeah. And there is a 0 Chris Rodriguez in the action.
So the pendulum has swung back for like the fourth time in like the last month. I mean, he went from a no-name to then the craziest hype train ever. Everyone's freaking out. And then it was like, Chris Rodriguez is still there. He's going to be getting goal line work. And everyone's like, okay, maybe we freaked out too much about Bill. Like, I fell for the hype train again. And then he goes out and puts out an RB12 finish. So, I mean, I love Bill. He's great.
And a good offense is going to help him drastically, even if Eckler is taking third down. But if he can iron out even a bigger role, he's going to be great. As far as the wide receivers go, though, Debo was more involved in 3 wide receiver sets than Terry was. So, which is interesting. But the Commanders, they rotated a lot of wide receivers on 2 wide receiver sets. Debo had only 42% route participation. Terry was only at 58%. So I'm really just not sure what to make of these two. I really think it's a mystery. Like, you have the upside of a high-powered offense, but if they are rotating in with other receivers and not seeing as many opportunities, how can you, who are you going to count on? I feel like it's just like a random week. You just hope it's Debo versus Terry. But again, it's only week 1, so I don't know.
I mean, considering what his ADP was and cost was for you, I mean, he was definitely a pleasant surprise. One of those people who you got cheap, where you're not completely surprised that he had a good game. He kind of he's capable of doing that. But again, never played a full season in his career. It's kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. All right, Deebo's good now. I'm not freaking out by any means.
And we didn't necessarily have any waiver wire targets for this list. Maybe Zach Ertz if you're feeling crazy. But again, we just talked about how the 2 wide receivers, we don't know which one to pick. So, you got a third option in tight end. All right, so moving on to the Panthers versus Jags. The Jaguars, Travis Etienne, your boy, dominated the backfield opportunities and production. The only exception was, again, third downs, and Tank Bigsby, like we talked about, was just traded to the Eagles. Liam Cohen literally was like, I see Etienne. That's all I need. I needed 1 week. See you later, Tank. You're out of here. I got my guy.
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest whiffs from last year, he showed, hey, sometimes you see a new offensive system. I mean, 8.9 yards a carry. Holy moly. I mean, Liam Cohen had a great rushing attack with us on the Bucs last year. So, hey, it worked for now. For his one game. It was against the Panthers. It was against the Panthers.
That's true. Curb your expectations. But you didn't miss last year. You were just earlier than everybody else. And as fantasy analysts, this is how we got to think. You were just early to the game, right? You're ahead of everybody. All right, talking about Brenton Strange, he was more involved, which we did expect. But last year in 2024, his 2 highest offensive snap games were 87%, which is week 5, and 15 in week 15 he logged 82%. During those 2 weeks, he scored 10.4 fantasy points in half PPR and 12.8 fantasy points. In week 1, he saw 78% offensive snap rate, which was top 3, I want to say. If we can see this tick up to 80 or maybe a little bit more in a passing offense that we hope to get better, my boy Strange might be fantasy relevant, and he's probably on the block. So somebody to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he's kind of around that cusp. And did you see the video of him leveling that one defender? I don't remember who the defender was.
Oh, no, I didn't.
I'll find it. But he just kind of a semi-blind side, kind of, comes on the side, just absolutely levels the guy. It was, and then he kind of was just standing there all big and strong. You're like, oh, God, that's so cool. I want to do that.
That's good. So he can block too, which is great. That's what you want to see out of your tight ends too. Travis Hunter was plenty involved. He only played in 11 personnel sets, and that's 3 wide receiver sets. But he played in those at a 95% rate. He played 70% out of the slot, 70%, which is massive. He should be one of the more viable wide receiver 2s in this offense. And at his ADP, if you took the risk on him, I think you're going to end up getting the reward. So I think it'll be worth it.
More than him, I'm just more concerned about BTJ. I love the man, but it's like he popped off last year when T-Law was hurt, when Mac Jones was in there. We don't really have much history of him popping off with T-Law. Like maybe they just don't mesh well. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not buying that. I think it'll be less opportunities. Not that they're not good buddies. Come on, it's Brian Thomas Jr. He's a rookie legend for the Jags. He just broke a bunch of records. So, maybe
I got him. I love BTJ. I'm here for it. I'm just a little concerned.
How you say bad things about your boy? Come on now.
I didn't say bad. It's mostly about Lawrence.
Alex said he's out on BTJ and that you should trade him away for anybody you want. All right, so moving into the Panthers, Ted McMillan's upside is only capped by Bryce Young. That's the takeaway for me. We saw what we expected. He's going to be the main guy. He got a bunch of targets. Unfortunately, only 5 targets were catchable of the 8 targets that he got, but he caught all 5 of them. So if you're a McMillan owner, you need to start rooting for Bryce Young. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, he looked like the real deal. He looked great, but then, Bryce was just straight up missing him. So Bryce did not have a good week 1.
And moving over to Chuba Hubbard, he took all the opportunities that mattered in week 1. I was a little worried about Rico Dowdle. That was honestly put to the side. I do think Chuba's fantasy performance was saved this week by a 30-yard receiving touchdown, but he's the main guy. So that's what you want to see from your running back, is him being the main guy. Yeah,
he's never really been anything flashy. Just volume, just getting results. I'm just kind of locked in RB2 moving forward.
Opportunity, right? All right, moving into Bengals versus Browns. Dylan Sampson was their early down back, but Quentin Judkins was just signed to the team. I can't imagine Judkins is going to jump in. There's still some legal stuff happening with the league. I think Sampson should be rostered because he is a running back 1 on the Browns. The downside is that he saw almost 0 third down or goal line or 2-minute drill work. But this could just be due to his rookie status. So again, he's available, running back 1 option for a team. I just don't think you go wrong picking up a guy like that.
Yeah, definitely that was a pickup. I mean, they got Baltimore next week. Maybe not like flex play, but I mean, for a couple of weeks till Judkins kind of gets a little bit more involved. I mean, if you need something, I like his value there.
Cedric Tillman had a direct connection with Joe Flacco. The offense was a lot more of a question mark than we originally thought in week 1.
For sure. They were really spreading the ball around to a lot of different people, so it's kind of hard to gauge. I mean, he saw the same amount of targets as Judy. This might be just like a 1A, 1B situation where they're both there, and it's a week to week. One of them just has a better week that week, and then, I don't know, you just kind of got to play it by ear.
Which is great for their team, but terrible for fantasy,
For sure.
Harold Fannin Jr. Saw almost as many snaps as Njoku. He played in almost every situation, more consistently. It's just crazy to me how involved this guy was. This really just tells me 2 things. First of all, that Njoku upside is curbed now, with Fannin lurking around and really taking opportunities, and Fannin could become David Njoku. If Njoku gets injured, which he never does, he's always healthy, we could see a little Shannon Sharp action. I tweeted about this man looking like Shannon Sharp, so that's why I brought that up many months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Physical body type, or more just like his catching style? What is it that kind of drew Shannon Sharp connection for you?
He is a elite receiving option, and he came from not a D1 program. So Shannon Sharp comes from a lower level program, and just found a way to get it done by being an elite receiver. Yeah.
But so 7 catches on 9 targets in his first NFL game was great. Very surprising. And I had to joke in my top 10 tight end list. I would say I'm a little worried about that. I thought, but I do have him in a couple teams. Just that whole offense was just very spreading the ball around. I mean, you got the elite Joe Flacco over there. He was just kind of taking what was there for him. So I'm a little concerned about Njoku.
Absolutely. As far as the Bengals go, we are not concerned. It's all good. Start your studs. Don't worry about it. They had a slow start. We've never seen them have a slow start in the past 4 years ever, except it happens every year like clockwork. They almost just lost to the Browns, so I'm not worried about it. Chase Brown didn't see his crazy elite usage that he normally does, but he was still a top 5 running back and, involved in the game from an opportunity standpoint. So I'm not worried there. It's just might not be as crazy as last year.
I mean, at least the Bengals got the win this time, but it really is just insane how slow they start every year. But at this point, at least we know to expect it now.
All right, next up we got Titans versus Broncos. For the Titans, Calvin Ridley is Cam Ward's main dude. When they aren't playing literally the best defense in the NFL against the best corner in the NFL, he's going to be a viable wide receiver, and I think he's an absolute value at ADP. So that's all I can say.
I'm going to agree. I think he's, I think you should be looking to buy low on him right now.
Rookie Alik Ayamanor is clear wide receiver 2 on his team. I'm going to get these names down as we go on the season.
I believe it's Alik Ayamanor, but I don't know.
Alik
Who knows?
Ayamanor. Okay, I call him Ayamanor. All right, Ayamanor, got it.
How about E-Man?
E-Man, I like that. E-Man. All right, Elik will be the E-Man. On the spot, E-Man, patent it, put it on the back of your helmet, and it's your new nickname. Moving on. I think he's a guy to keep an eye on. Rookie receiver. He ended up having a good rapport with Cam Ward. I think he had the top unrealized air yards, which is normally Calvin Ridley's stick. Not just. So just, something to keep an eye on for him.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got him on one of my deeper benches. I thought he looked pretty good. I thought Cam Ward looked pretty good for his first game. Like things didn't quite come together for them, but I didn't think he looked like scared of a top defense or anything. He was out there, slinging the ball around. So I was excited. I think this offense got good value.
For sure. Tony Pollard was a workhorse. He continued to literally play every snap. He's going to be a workhorse until Tajay Spears comes back in week 5. Honestly, I'm putting him in the low end running back 1-2 territory for me literally every week until Tajay comes back. So huge opportunity guy.
19 opportunities week 1. I mean, you should be feeling okay. I mean, there will be greener pastures ahead for him.
On the Broncos side, Courtland Sutton is an absolutely steal at ADP. This was a guy that me and Alex are both high on all draft. He played almost 94% of the offensive snaps in literally every, personnel formation. He will continue to be Bo Nix's main option. If you have stock in him, do not sell. That's all I'm saying. You won't get what value he is worth by selling. I just keep Sutton.
It was just a classic Sutton game. 6 catches, 61 yards, and a score. Like, just reliable. It's like exactly what you want out of him. Just doing it every week.
And when we look at the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 roles, these were not as clear. Marvin Mims as well as Troy Franklin pretty much almost split this 50-50, and Troy Franklin saw more opportunities. So I'm avoiding anybody else besides Sutton in that receiving.
Yeah, and I was also a little worried about Bo Nix's play. I mean, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
25 out of 40. I was like, this might not be as juicy of an offense as I was kind of thinking it would be, but who knows? Week one.
Yeah. And the Titans have a solid secondary, I'd say. There's a couple guys that can shine.
Yeah.
RJ Harvey was second fiddle to KJ Dobbins, but he was involved, and that's what we want to see. The only situation he didn't get involved in was 2-minute drill, which again comes back to rookies. I think RJ is going to be more of a slow cooker than Hendrson, but again, another dude that if he gets the role, just watch out.
Yeah, but I mean, Dobbins looked good too. I mean, 18 opportunities. And Peyton has a history of using committees, so I just think this is probably, they'll probably collectively put up good results. I just don't know, it's going to be kind of split just for the foreseeable future.
Gotcha. Yeah, and waiver wire targets for this game are the E-Man.
E-Man.
That's it. That's it. All right, Niners versus Seahawks. Juwan Jennings and George Kittle are hurt, if you didn't hear. Kittle will likely be out 3 to 6 weeks, and Jennings is still being evaluated. Brock Purdy also got injured and is questionable for week 2. So who's left? Ricky Parcell.
Kittle is officially on IR, I don't know if you saw, so it's a minimum 4 guaranteed.
4, sorry. Yeah. Injury.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Literally everyone on that team is dying. I mean, they got to throw to somebody. I don't know what's going to happen, but I guess just the CMC show moving forward.
Yeah, and CMC did CMC things. I think he saw 31 opportunities or something ridiculous like that. He is the epitome of boomer bust. He's in your starting lineup. He's healthy. He's getting you 20 points. It is a lock 20-point game from him.
He is just so good. And
then there's a chance of him just not being there. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just so good, just so explosive. I mean, finishes RB5 on the week without a touchdown. Just so many yards, catches, everything. He is their offense, basically.
And I got to talk about this man, Jake Tongs, baby. He was electric, stepping in for Kittle. That's all I got to say. This man, it's good.
touchdown catch was very legit. He went up there and took that thing from the DB. That was impressive.
All right, the big one with the Seahawks, which we spoke about before, was Charbonnet seeing more goal line, 3rd down, 2-minute drill, splitting early down work with Kenneth Walker. Again, I'm not willing to pull the plug on Kenneth Walker yet, but it's because he was sick all training camp, all right? He's a better back than Charbs. The new OC maybe has some play in this, but I'm holding out. Kenneth Walker, running back 1 here in the future. Here it comes.
Yeah, I mean, only 40% of snaps was pretty surprising, but I think there will be better games ahead. Yeah.
Cooper Kupp ran the most routes of all wide receivers. He just didn't get targeted much. So I was honestly worried about JSN coming into the season, which is why I was trying to trade him to you because I knew you liked him. But Sam Darnold figured it out. He literally just honed in on him. Favorite target. My worries have been kind of relieved after week 1, and I'm glad I went against my better judgment in that, and we couldn't find a deal.
Yeah, I mean, 13 targets. Rookie, everyone was hyping up. Torrey Holton went out there with 0 targets. I mean, it was literally just the JSN show out there.
Absolutely. Kendrick Bourne was also just signed to the Niners, so he could be a potential waiver wire ad. We don't know what's going to happen there. And then I'm putting Jake Tongs as my waiver wire ad for tight end.
Sure.
Just throwing them in. All right, Lions versus Packers. The Packers. We saw another wide receiver rotation. Not a single wide receiver saw more than 17 routes. Tucker Kraft was number 1 on routes run. He was number 1 on offensive snaps. He is their wide receiver 1 until further notice, and he's really the only one that's going to be able to find value if the wide receiver room continues to stay crowded. So that's all I got to say. I'm a little bit worried as a Golden owner.
Yeah, and also, they were also crushing. So Jordan Love only had 188 yards because they were just spanking the Lions. But I don't know. This has just been the story of the Packers the last couple of years. So they just spread the ball around too much.
Yeah,
I mean, good for them, bad for any of us trying to pick in their players.
Right. And again, Golden maybe eventually, but we just got to wait and see. It's just not looking good early. Josh Jacobs has 0 competition with Marshawn Lloyd on IR. He is on this team that scores a lot of points. I still think he's being undervalued at running back. So if you can find any discount, even though he did fairly well in week 1, I'm just saying go get him.
20 opportunities. I do not hate that.
Yeah. With the Lions, if what we see in week 1 continues, I know y'all are thinking like, oh, this is bad, but it's not. Gibb owners should celebrate. Gibbs has taken over as the true running back 1 in this backfield. He played 70% of the early down back rolls, which was the highest he had in all of 2024, which were the games in which Monty got injured in. He split time on shortage and on 3rd down situations. The issue was that the offense looked like a shell of itself from 2024. Yeah. So this is great for Gibbs owners from an opportunity situation, not good for Monty owners, and I guess in general, not great for the Lions because their offense didn't look as alive.
Yeah, I mean, the post-Ben Johnson era is off to a very rough start in week 1. We got to see if things get back on track. I don't know.
Jameson Williams was more involved in week 1 than all of last season. He was on par with Amon-Ra St. Brown as far as the intricacy in which he was used in the actual offense when it comes to offensive snaps played and routes run. So it's good to see in a wide receiver too.
I mean, they just paid that man a bunch of money. I mean, you got to make it count, right?
Absolutely. Isaac Tessa is the best wide receiver handcuff in the entire NFL. Just calling it right now. Best wide receiver handcuff. So if you need a handcuff wide receiver, he's your guy.
I think first we got to maybe make sure this offense capable of supporting like 3 wide receivers, or I don't know. That's also. Did you invent wide receiver? Did you invent wide receiver handcuff? Is that like? Did you just coin that? I've never heard of that.
I don't know if that's real or not. But yeah, it is now coined wide receiver handcuff, and I meant that as in like if an injury happens, right? Not necessarily like he's going to be productive
viable as wide receiver 3. Only if something happens that forces him to be wide receiver 2. Got it.
Correct. Then he becomes a handcuff. Yeah.
Never heard of a wide receiver handcuff. Just making it up.
Call it. Calling it now.
We got next game. We're just coining all sorts of verbiage out here.
Yeah, we're just making stuff up. So what happens when we go on this long, crazy episode that we have right now? My Lord,
this is long. More games. We got like 5
Sorry,
more games.
Alex.
Like that.
Yeah, we do. We're running through it though. Hang with us, boys. Hang with us. All right, so next game we have is Texans versus Rams. The Texans' offensive line was literally put to the test in week 1. They faced one of the best pass rushing teams in the league, and it showed. C.J. Stroud was pressured on an insane 41% of dropbacks. He was sacked 3 times and hit 7 times in the pocket. The offensive line will not face such elite options weekly, but it's worrisome not just for CJ, but for Nico as well, and how that was set up.
We had kind of doubts about their offense, at the end of last year, the second half of last year, they were looking pretty whatever. Only 188 yards in the passing game this week, and then they got my Bucks Monday night. We'll see how my defense is looking, see if they can make a rebound. I don't know, but definitely rough.
The Bucks D-line isn't that good, though. They'll be all right. They'll put up a couple hundred yards. Okay, not worried anymore.
You mean elite? Hassan Riddick, Diaby. Come on, get out of here.
Okay, sure. You got a little juice there. It ain't no Rams defensive line. Okay. So. Next up is Nick Chubb. He was the early down back. He took most of the goal line and short yardage situations. Honestly, he could be continued to be serviceable until something happens or shakes up that backfield. So, potential serviceable back there.
Again, Bucks typically do have a good run defense, at least. So I would not be interested in Nick Chubb next week.
Week 2 kind of thing. I gotcha. The Rams, we saw exactly, quite literally exactly what we expected out of Puka. Puka got injured. Everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then he returned to the game and put up 100 yards. It was the perfect Puka week 1 experience. So
yeah, I love them. I love them so much. So PFF actually had them ranked as the number 1 quarterback and receiver on the week. Wow. They just moved it's just 15-yard ins and outs, just the whole time. They just work so well, so in sync together. I love it.
And he's on the field. He's just one of the best fantasy wide receivers to have. He's so good. Kyren Williams did have a small dip in his overall usage. Well, it's nothing insane, and I'm not worried about it. He did only have 3 games all of last year with lower usage in all of 2024. So, again, not too worried about it. Volume's been there, but that's really been his bread and butter. It's just something to continue to monitor, and we just got to hope it doesn't continue to drop.
No other running back on their team had more than 1 carry, so I'm not worried about him.
Okay. Ravens versus Bills. Ravens. Zay Flowers was insanely efficient with his opportunities. Yep. He finished as week 1 as wide receiver 1. So all of you all called out Zay being a breakout this year. Take your victory lap because that's going to be as long as it lasts. That's all I'm saying. We're not going to see an 80-point shootout every single week, especially with the Ravens. Give me a break. I think Zay Flowers is still a wide receiver 3, and that's how I'm going to view him moving forward, personally. I'm not freaking out about this. Sell high if you can.
There was just some energy in the air where that game, just people were just exploding. So, yeah, I'm not freaking out, but it was, good for him. Wide receiver 1 finish on the week, so it was cool. So it was fun, incredible game to watch.
Now, even though Zay Flowers broke out, Mark Andrews rotated in at tight end, and this is the most worrisome and I'm freaking out type of thing about player of this week is the Mark Andrews situation. He, even with Isaiah Likely, he literally rotated in with other tight ends. I think it was a 50 floating percent, 60% rate, which is where we saw him essentially last year with Likely. So it is unfortunate, and I am very worried about Andrews' value, and I'm probably not starting him and would stream a tight end over him moving forward until we see something different.
I was not nearly as high on Mark Andrews as you were, but when we did also have this same thought process this time last year after week 1, and then he ended up being okay.
Right,
so
yeah. He was a beast. That's true. Yeah, so he's ramping up.
So he also had an insane touchdown streak last year that I don't know if that was sustainable. So yeah, I'm not very optimistic about Mark Andrews this year.
So moving into the Bills, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakur, and Joshua Palmer were all involved in almost equally in the game from an opportunity standpoint. I am not forfeiting that Keon Coleman is going to be the main target benefactor. I'm just not. Even though we saw it, I'm not doing it, okay? Shakur is going to be that guy of the 2 of them, even though we just saw it in week 1, so I'm not forfeiting.
I don't even know if Shakur's number 2. He might be number 3. It might. Keon Coleman had a great game, came tonight. And then Palmer, he's new. He was involved more than I thought he would be. And, I think he has potential for a little more downfield action. We just know what we're getting with Khalil Shakur. the underneath stuff, like he's fine. He's fine. I just think the other two offer you a little more like possible upside if they kind of get in a groove.
And I mean, again, 40 points. We're not going to see this every week. So, offense can look very different.
For sure. And Coleman's touchdown was like a crazy deflection, And
yeah, it deflected. Come on, get that out of here.
He was still very involved in the offense, though.
He wasn't even trying to throw it to him. All those were accidents.
He was not.
On the downside, so all those guys were super involved. On the downside of this, Dalton Kincaid only saw 50% of offensive snap share. Even in a shootout, he just wasn't on the field very much. This is also worrisome. So if you were in on Kincaid potentially having a breakout this year, it is not looking good, like at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling good. I would say maybe
I'm dropping him.
At least try to trade him, right? Like at least like try. Like I'm saying, give it like a 48 hour like try period. Just like send it off like in some packages, kind of like spritz in some Kincaid in there. Yeah. See if anybody bites before just dropping him. I mean.
Yeah, try to get value. It's true, but that is how much this this one analytical point. Yeah, I am low I am on him right now, simply because he should have had plenty of opportunities and he did not in a game like this. So it just tells me all I need to know. All right, the last game of the week, we made Alex. Vikings versus the Bears. So talking about the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy reminded me a little bit of Baker Mayfield during the game. Just saying, he reminded me of Baker.
First off, I mean, Baker is a one-of-a-kind good sir. But, man, what a roller coaster of a game for him in his first career game. Like, that first half was rough. People were like, oh,
everybody
my God.
was out on him.
Everyone was like, let's say Darnold go forward and thinking this kid is bad. And then he just flipped a switch. It was like looking elite out there, just like hitting everyone in stride, scrambling for a touchdown, like looking fast. It was like, okay, what the heck? Yeah, I don't know. Crazy, kind of a wild first game.
You remind me of Baker because I think he shouldered somebody and got up just like making a face and just hype. Baker,
weight room, little boy.
Yeah, Baker will go on a 1-yard scamper and get up just like he just won the Super Bowl and just hype his team up. So I love it. It's so funny. All right, talking about Jordan.
If you don't have smelling salts, then like that's all you need is a 1-yard scamper, and that's enough to get you hyped up.
Yeah, get you going. Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. We didn't know what was going to happen with this backfield. I think we kind of have somewhat of a clear idea. For the most part, it was pretty close to a 50-50 split in opportunities across the game. It did look like Jordan Mason early was kind of be the main guy, but as time went over, Aaron Jones got involved. So it seemed 50-50, but if I had to bet on one of the two, I'm going to go with age, simply just because Jordan Mason is younger. So maybe they want to get him a little bit more involved as time goes on and kind of wean Aaron Jones out, but he probably won't ever be.
I mean, I'll agree because I was pretty low on Jordan Mason, but I thought he actually looked pretty good, pretty strong. And then, it was pretty 50-50. The crazy thing about Aaron Jones, like they were hitting him a lot in the passing game. I mean, he had the touchdown one, but he also had another one that was like was on the left side, probably like 25 yards down the field, and they got a pass interference out of it. But I'm like, why they were just putting him on put him out on this outside and just let him go run flies the whole game. It was kind of a crazy usage. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Mason did look pretty strong.
Talking about the Bears, DeAndre Swift. I'll expect you're right, Josh, after this. Played the role I expected him to. He was the lead running back one. He dominated backfield opportunities on a new offense. If they can get going, which is probably not going to happen with Caleb Williams, we'll talk about that, but he brings potential value. I think he brings value. So how you feeling?
I mean, he finished as RB 29 in week 1. He finished with 3.1 yards on the ground per run. And Kyle Manangai, my deep sleeper RB, thank you very much, did have an opening drive touch, which I was not expecting him to see him out there that early in the game. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But I mean, you're getting volume right now with DeAndre Swift. I'm not super high on him long term, but
the opportunity was coach putting him out there and being like, nah, come back. We're done. Swift's the guy. That's what happened. That's what he saw. And Johnson was like, yeah. Rome Odunze, honestly, he might be the wide receiver 1, or at very least close to DJ Moore, much closer to DJ Moore than most people thought. Rome just saw more wide receiver opportunities on offense. And I don't necessarily mean like target opportunities. I mean being on the field when they need wide receivers to be on the field. Specifically in one wide receiver sets, DJ Moore was on the field for 0 of those, and Rome was on it for 2 of 5. So, something to mention, think about.
I mean, Rome had a nice game. they drafted him in the first round. Like it makes sense that they want to get him involved. But I do think DJ Moore's just still more like schemed plays and they also used to hit 3 rushing attempts, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But Ben Johnson used to do that with the Sun God every now and then. So just kind of interesting usage.
Caleb Williams, like we mentioned before, did not look great. He looked like the normal Caleb Williams we saw in 2024. It's worrisome, even with Ben Johnson. Maybe it's early, but it's just worrisome because we saw last year their offense couldn't get going and they threw 1,000 less yards than the Ravens had. I think it was like 10 less points per game or something crazy, which impacts fantasy players. So
for sure,
I don't know what to make of that.
He started hot. He looked good the first almost first half, at least the first quarter and a half. They had a good 3 drives where he's moving the field. It's just crazy how many short dump off throws he just misses. That's if you can't even accurately throw it to a guy at the line of scrimmage. I don't know. What are we doing here? I don't know. It was weird. He did look spry. He was running around a lot. His legs were looking good.
Yeah, the legs were working.
Legs were looking good. But yeah, he literally just misses people bad. I don't get it.
And we'll just have to keep watching. Week 1, maybe it gets better with Ben Johnson, but it just didn't look great after the whole offseason of all the hype that we saw. Really only waiver wire ad is probably JJ McCarthy in that situation. Everybody else is probably rostered already based on who's on that team. All right, y'all. That's all we got for us. If you made it this far, congratulations. We have a prize. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe one day we will. But we appreciate you hanging out with us. And as always, if you like what you heard, give us a like and subscribe. If not, appreciate y'all chilling. And now go steal a championship. We'll see y'all later.